back to the next video. In today's video we will be continuing with the next part of our making REST APIs with Golang. So what I have done is that I have created I have added JWT. So whenever the user registers or login, he will get a JWT instead of all the user data like the user ID, name, all that kind of stuff. So suppose if I try to create another email, okay, and I click on send. Here you can see the user will get a token. Now with the same email ID you can log in as well. So this is the login API, and if you try to log in again you will get the token. And now if I copy this token, if I try to call this API, if I remove this, if I try to call it, here you can see you can't call this API without the authorization token. And if I just pass this authorization token, I will get the user details. Okay, so this API is only for testing. You should not use this kind of APIs in production. You should not directly send the user details to the whoever is using your client app. Yeah, so let's get started how to do this. So firstly, what we'll do is we'll go to we'll create two folders, a util folder and a middleware folder. Okay, so first if you go to util folder, here what I am doing is that in previous video we have installed JWT as well. So if you are not installed, make sure you install this using go-get. And here I have created one secret key. So secret key is basically used for encrypting, decrypting our JWT. So here instead of secret you can give anything, any string which you want to. Now to generate a JWT, it will take a issuer. An issuer can be any user detail like an ID. I'm using ID in this case. From that we are calling JWT.new with claims, and I'm using this signing method. Then I'm calling registered claims. I'm passing the issuer, which is the user ID, and also I'm setting the expiry time as like 24 hours. And here then we call claim.sign string, and we just set whatever data we have back to the user. Next, for parsing JWT, so suppose once you get a JWT token, given that we use the user ID to encrypt our JWT, now from that JWT we want to get the user ID. So what you will have to do is you will have to use JWT.parse with claims. You can pass your auth token, then we pass JWT.registered claims, and here this I have just copy pasted it from the documentation itself, and we just have to return a byte array of secret key, and for error nil. If the error is not equal to nil, then I am just sending the error and the string is empty. Otherwise we are calling token.claims, and here we are calling JWT.registered claims, and while returning I am just returning claims.issuer, which is actually the user ID, and this is error is nil. Instead of this issuer you can send any details, it doesn't really matter, but for simplicity I have kept it as user ID. Next, inside middleware you will have to create this file called auth-middleware.go. So what I'm basically doing is that whenever I want to protect some API endpoint, the one which you saw over here like /API/user, I want the user to only access this API if they have provided a valid authorization token. So for that I'm using this method. So I have created an authorization variable. If the authorization equal to empty, then return authorization header is missing. Then I'm getting the auth token. If the auth token length is less than 2, then again I'm returning failed to get token. The reason why we are doing this, because if you see the auth token has bearer than space our token, that's why we are comparing with it with 2. Then I'm calling util.parse JWT, and here I'm calling auth token. I'm getting the first one, like the first part, which is your actual token. The 0 part will be your bearer, and then if the error is not equal to nil, then I'm returning the error. Otherwise I'm asking it to move ahead with whatever is the next operation. Next, if you go to routes.go. Here you can see I am using app.use middleware.is authenticated, and I have also created this one method controllers.user, which I will show you shortly. Also inside user.go, I have made sure that all these things, like instead of returning capital ID, I will return small id. Instead of capital email with an capital E, then here I am returning a small email. Same for first name, last name, and I don't want to ever return the password, that's why I'm using this dash, and the email should be using, that's why I'm using gom:unique. Next, for controllers, so if you go to just a second, controllers, so we are done with user.go. okay, auth-controller.go. so firstly I have refactored my register method to something. So firstly I am checking if there is any existing user with that particular email ID or not. So here I am basically checking that. If yes, then return an error message, and otherwise just create our user. And here I am calling this util.generate JWT, and I am passing the user ID. And if error not equal to nil, I am just returning the error message. Otherwise I am returning the token to the user. Similarly for login as well, first we are getting the user based on the email ID provided. Then I am comparing the password, whatever the user has provided, with our hash password. If that is correct, then again we are calling the same thing, util.generate JWT, and if token is generated properly, then just return the token. And this is the new route which I have created. So firstly I am getting authorization from our request header. Once we get that, then I am doing string.fields of authorization first. okay, and if auth token is equal to empty, then field to get token. Then we are calling util.parse JWT, and I am passing our auth token. If error not equal to nil, then I am just saying invalid token. Otherwise what I am doing is that I am finding that particular user based on the ID, because we already have the ID by passing our auth token, and here I am just returning our particular user based on that ID. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.